Hello, this is Mike Hefner from Appian. I'm joined by Nisha D'Amico, also from Appian. We're thrilled to have you join us today. We're going to cover the Paycheck Protection Program. So we welcome you to this part of Appian World Virtual. First and foremost, we hope everyone is safe and healthy that's joining us. And we're thrilled to talk a bit about Appian's offering, specific to, for clarity's sake and to emphasize brevity, we'll just call it the PPP program. Some context. Ultimately, this program is all about doing the right thing for small businesses. The focus of this particular section is going to be on PPP, but the platform actually is extensible, and we have also significant experience in covering other lending programs similar to PPP, for example, CBILS in the UK. So it's interesting to have seen this program evolve. It's moving at rapid speed. I think the reason so many folks are motivated to do the right thing here is the pandemic is presenting an unprecedented crisis, and everybody realizes the opportunity here to do the right thing and engaging. Now, there's lots of risks in how to engage, and we've learned the lessons over the years of banks engaging tactically and the trouble that can spell. We're hoping here to present an alternative for folks that are just getting into this game, banks, credit unions, financial services firms in general. And even though you may have started in a tactical vein, it's not too late to consider an automation play like Appian. Think about what we're about to present as fast to deploy, fast to change, integrated and sophisticated, and ultimately auditable. We think it's important to think about the full life cycle of this PPP program. We're seeing lots of changes and a lot of aspects of the program that have yet to be defined. And quite honestly, you can't open the Wall Street Journal without reading an opinion piece on the program itself, which has invited additional scrutiny. Certainly, the prospect of additional congressional oversight could lead to additional changes down the road. From our perspective, it's important to be able to manage the full life cycle, both in terms of initiation of a response, but then also the adaptation of the response to any changes. And that's really where a modern platform, Appian's platform, comes into play. It's important to note that Appian has an alliance, a technology alliance with Google, which really allows us to deliver leading edge, differentiated capabilities to help our customers manage this process more effectively, not just the intake, but also when it comes to forgiveness. We think that a lot of the risks associated with this process are going to be dealing with the documents and the statements associated at intake and at forgiveness. While we all want to think the best of everyone, this program is also ripe for fraud. Ultimately, the responsibility for preventing fraud rests with the bank. And I think the ability to be able to manage from a life cycle perspective, all of the decisions and actions and the data that have been critical to running this program in one place are going to be a differentiator. We're hearing from our research that while everybody was fast to tactically get into this space, they're now beginning to really worry about the ability to deliver a sustained, auditable, and compliant response. Couple things to note about Appian's offering in particular. Fast to engage, fast and easy to change. And really, we wanted to present an offering to the marketplace that allowed our customers to really de-risk and make their offering in this space a lot more predictable. And therefore, we're offering the PPP application on the Appian platform at a low fixed price, which includes software and services to get our customers running in days with a more complete response to the challenges of the PPP program. For those of you that may be new to Appian, I did want to highlight our qualifications in financial services, not just around loan origination, but around helping customers manage opportunities around customer experience, lending, operational effectiveness, and GRC. These are really the sweet spots for the Appian platform, and we have lots of great qualifications of customers, and we're just listing a small subset of customers here that have extensive experience managing some of the most complex processes via the Appian platform. So with that said, there's nothing like showing you something. So we'd love to show you a demonstration of the PPP application. So with that, I'll turn it to Nisha.
Thanks everyone for joining today and to a special virtual edition of Appian World. Hope you all are staying home and staying safe right now. So today we'll be walking you through the demonstration application that we built to show the intake, processing, and tracking of the Paycheck Protection Program loan application. So I'll go ahead and start my screen share, and we'll get started with the demo. So in early April, this legislation was passed, and it's definitely gone through a few iterations since then. It's run out of money, it's been refunded, and some of the legislation and restrictions or qualifications have been modified, changed a little bit. And so we've seen a lot of need for adaptability. And it's also been a struggle because the banks need to be able to connect to many different systems that they already have for loan origination and loan processing, as well as having a seamless connection to the SBA systems all the way through to disposition and forgiveness. And so Appian has those capabilities to make the connection and also the ability to stand up something very quickly that can adapt to change. And so as we move forward, Appian is going to be able to allow banks to be very agile with this and can keep up with the changing legislations we have. So with that, we'll dive into the application. What you're seeing on my screen here is the loan management dashboard. And so this is for the lender to view different parts of the application process and get a nice overview of what's going on, who they're working with, and how things are going. And so they have some KPIs at the top here around their targets, their actuals, and their progress. So how many applications are they processing? How many are overdue, how much they've awarded so far, et cetera. They also have an idea of some of the applications that have recently gone through the system and their progress, and they can see some demographics around the loan borrowers who are actually coming through. And so there's a lot of information for them here. It's all coming in real time. So as things are processing and working, they can see those changes happening in real time. And so with that, we'll actually jump back over to the customer portal and go over into the actual application process. So what we have here is the landing page for the Paycheck Protection Program on the customer or borrower side. And so here what we have is the ability for them to see some information around the Paycheck Protection Program, who can apply. If they have any questions, need any help, there is integration to a chatbot here for them, so they can access that at any time. And they have some helpful links over here, as well as the actions they can take around the PPP program itself. And so they can apply for a loan, they can request loan forgiveness, or they can check the status of their application. So we'll go ahead and dive in with with applying for a new loan. So here what we have is first a question around whether or not we are an existing small business banking relationship. And if we hit no, it will take us through the process of actually being onboarded with a customer, most likely redirect us to the portal with the bank that they already have for onboarding a new customer. But we are a small business banking customer here, so we'll go ahead and hit yes and then continue with the process. So since we are an existing customer, now they're going to ask us a few questions about our business. So how long have we been in operation, whether or not we are a business with fewer than 500 employees, are we US based, and then have we been affected by COVID-19? So we do meet all those criteria, and therefore we may qualify under the provisions of the Paycheck Protection Program to actually get this loan. And so I'll go ahead and hit continue, at which point it's going to give me another choice of how I would actually like to apply. So do I want to do it through a wizard, or do I want to actually upload a completed form? And we do have the Paycheck Protection Program form is a fillable PDF online. And so they could download that or fill it out online, give it a wet signature, and either hand it into a branch of their bank or maybe upload that. So we have the ability to do that here. It's going to use Appian AI to extract information from the form and bring it into the process. And we'll see that a little bit later. But we also have the ability to enter through a wizard, so just entering electronically. So we'll go through that process now. So first, we have to enter in information about our business. So since we are an existing customer, the bank is already going to have some information about us. So if I go ahead and click on my business, it's going to fill in all the information for me. And so, that just takes off some of the burden on the user to fill out information the bank already knows. Next, we'll have to put in our average payroll and the amount that we're going to need for this loan. And we do have some business rules working in the background here. So automatically, it is going to take this and put a 2.5 times multiplier and calculate the request amount based off that. We do see that the maximum loan amount is $10 million. So if we were to exceed that, we are going to have business rules working that tells me we cannot request anything over $10 million. I'll have to make sure that the amount is below that before I submit the form. And then finally, we do put in the number of jobs that we're going to have. So next, we just put in some information around our ownership. So anyone who has a 20% or more ownership is going to need to be documented here. We can put more than one, but for now, I'm just going to have one in here. And then after that, we're going to go into the questions and certifications. So these are dynamic questions and certifications that we have that are being controlled in a configuration panel that we have on the lender side. And I'll show you that a little bit later. But essentially what we're able to do is, as these questions are changing, if we need initials on additional ones, for example, or if we need to change the number of questions or the wording, we can do that in a configuration panel, and it will immediately take effect here. The same thing goes for the certifications, as well as all the business rules we have working on the form, such as that multiplier and the max loan amount. And this is part of what allows banks to be very agile and flexible when it comes to making changes quickly as legislation is changing as well. Finally, we have to put in our IRS form and our payroll just to provide some additional information around our business and to validate the loan amount that we are requesting here. And the last step here is just to certify that we've read these below statements. We can go ahead and hit submit. Once we do that, it's going to take all the information that we just entered, package it up, and generate a PDF document for us to sign. And then it's going to send that document over to DocuSign to get our wet signature on it. Now, we're doing this because we do need a wet signature on this form. We could use another electronic signature platform. Here we've just used DocuSign as an example. You'll see that all the information that we entered on the previous forms have all been entered here and generated with the form. And so I can just drag my signature on, hit finish, And then now the signature has been documented, and if I hit done, it's going to take everything that I just put together, and it's going to send it back over to the lender. And so now I'm going to be able to go back to the lender portal and continue that process. But before we do that, just one more thing to show here is that at any point in time, we can come in to check the status of our application. So if I come in, I can see the application that I just put in, the ownership information, the amount that we're requesting, that document that was generated, along with the documents that were uploaded. And so I have a full view of my application, and this status is going to update in real time as well. So as moving through the process, I'm going to be able to come in here and check at any point in time where it is, just to know that, you know, it is being processed and looked at by the bank. So with that, we'll go ahead and switch back over to that loan management portal that we started on, and we'll head over to our tasks. And there we're going to see an originator review form for us. And that's just going to be the first step in the process on the lender side for this application. And now you'll see that we have all the same pieces of information that we saw before on the DocuSign page, as well as on that status page on the customer. We're also going to see that same information here, along with the questionnaire that we filled out, the questions and answers with the initials that we have, uploaded documents. And if everything looks good to us, we can go ahead and check this for eligibility. Now, this could all be, ticked off automatically, but assuming that the bank might want to do a first, check themselves before they send it over to the SBA, we've put this step in place. Now, as soon as I hit check SBA for eligibility, it's actually going to switch over to the RPA bot, and it's going to call Appian RPA and use that to access the SBA website and look up the information that it needs and pull back the information that it needs. And so I'll go ahead and show that happening. So once I hit that, if I switch over to this remote desktop session to see the RPA bot kick off, you'll see that it is now working and it's filling in the company details we provided in the intake form, and now it's performing a search. Now you see it is going to take a little bit of time just because this site is getting hit with a lot of requests these days, and so the RPA bot is going to be the one to actually wait for the response to come back and do the lookup and pull out the information. The person on the lender side, so the employee who's actually going through this approval process, can just kick that off and then go on with their day and continue their other tasks. And you'll see that it pulled out the pieces of information we needed. In this case, it was that SBA loan number. It attached it to the record, and we're good to go. And so that task has been finished. And like I said, in the real world, the user would not be watching the RPA bot do that, and it would really be taking off some time and some effort from the person by having the bot do it instead. So I did mention before that we have the ability to go through the wizard, and we also have the ability to upload a form and use Appian AI to extract information. So I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like now. So say they had uploaded a form. We have this reconcile PDF form task. And so if I go ahead and click into that, we're going to see a similar form with different pieces of information on it. We have the ownership information, the loan information, and you see we've extracted all of that into this form to the left. And so here's where we're using Appian AI to perform OCR to extract all the pieces of information that we need. And so if everything looks good here, and I can change things if something didn't match up right, but if everything looks good, I can go ahead and hit submit on this. And what that's going to do is just kick us back over to the originator review form, just like we had before. And so it's going to converge back into the same process, the same task as we had. We see the originator review show up now. And essentially that just gives the bank and the borrower, more flexibility in terms of how they want to enter this information, how they want to submit it. So with that, we'll switch over out of the process a little bit and switch over into the loan request record. So getting an idea, getting a view of all the different applications that are coming through right now. And so you can see here's a list of all the applications we've had, from most recent to least recent. We have information about the company, the contact, the initiator, and the status and the progress of it. And we have that SBA loan number that we are pulling off of the SBA site via RPA. Now I can click into any of these to get more details as well. And so all this is going to be updated in real time for me. So as things are happening, as things are changing, if I'm, the manager of this loan team, I can go ahead and look at this at any point in time to understand where we are in each of these different processes, especially if something is maybe hung up on a certain step. I'm seeing all the same details that I saw before. I can see that status bar. I have the questions and certs from before. So again, same view, just being able to see the answers. We have a view of all the documents that they uploaded. So as part of this loan request, we can see a preview of all the documents. We have a running trail of comments. So if different lenders on the team have to converse back and forth, make comments around this particular application, they're able to do that via Appian platform. And then an audit trail of the full tasks and the variables, just the data that's running through this, the tasks that are being completed, whether it's a system task or it's a user task, I'm getting a full trail of that. And so at any point in time, I'm just getting full visibility into what's happening here. And then I can also kick off actions from here. So I can go ahead and kick off a loan forgiveness process from here. For example, if a borrower, say, were to call in and request loan forgiveness, we can go ahead and do that for them. But we also have that ability on the customer portal, and we'll head back there in a second. The last thing I wanted to show on here is the configuration tab. So we did mention before that we're able to change those business rules at any point in time based on the legislation or based on things that are happening. And this, of course, goes for any application that you're building on Appian. You're going to be able to make adjustments like this in order to keep your business very agile and flexible. And so here I got the max loan amount configured, the payroll multiplier, the number of days we have to respond to a forgiveness request, and then the questions and certifications. And so you can see at any point I can add a question, I can add a certification, I can change this loan amount, payroll multiplier. All the changes that I make here will be immediately reflected on that form. So the next time someone goes in to request, apply for a PPP loan, these new amounts, these new multipliers will apply there. And so as things are changing, I'm able to do that very quickly without going through a full, software development lifecycle to get those changes implemented. So the last part of this whole end-to-end process is loan forgiveness. And so if we go back to our customer portal, we are able to kick off the process for requesting loan forgiveness. So here, similar to what we had before on the application, we do have to certify that we do meet certain criteria in order to qualify for loan forgiveness. And so have we retained our full headcount of employees? Have we used the majority of our costs, at least 75% for payroll? Have we maintained salary levels? And then if we have let anyone go, are we going to rehire back to full capacity by that June 30th deadline? So if I hit continue, now I'm brought to a form where I am given some details around my initial loan application. So how much did I initially request? How much did I get? What my funding date was? And then I've got all these forms to fill out in terms of how much I use for payroll versus benefits. And we've got that total amount, running as we fill in information here. And we do have more business rules in play here as well. We can only have up to 25% on non-payroll costs. So if any of the costs I'm entering in here exceed that, we are going to potentially have a lower forgiveness amount. Same thing with the number of employees. So if I, for example, put in that I only have 190 employees now, it is going to tell me that my forgiveness amount might be reduced because of that. And so if I do put back up to 200, I am qualified for the full forgiveness. And so we have those business rules operating, and then we also have the ability to add in more forms and more documents, such as invoices we might need to show for how we use the money, how we use the loan amount. We are pulling in the IRS and the payroll form that we had before, so we don't need to re-upload those, but we can additionally put in supporting documents if we need to. And then once everything looks good here, we can go ahead and submit this for forgiveness. And if we head back over to the loan management dashboard, if we go into our tasks, we will see a task for reviewing a loan forgiveness application here. And so that'll, again, kind of go through the same process as before, where the lender is able to make a determination based on some automatic business rules, as well as some of their own rules they might have in place in order to determine the full forgiveness amount and then process the application from there. And so coming back to our homepage for the loan manager, we have at this point completed the full life cycle of the loan. So we've been able to intake an application, send the loan information to SBA, verify eligibility, review, service, track the loan, and then also process forgiveness on it. And so we've given the borrower visibility into the status of their application, and the lender has also full visibility into the metrics and the reports around all the requests that are coming in. So with Appian, banks will be able to quickly stand up a solution similar to this to tend to their needs for servicing these customers that will work seamlessly with their system while also leveraging the full power of Appian, RPA, and AI. So that concludes the demo. Mike, I'll hand it back to you.
Great reflection of the power of full stack automation with records on a low-code platform. So really, all of the elements of full stack automation, I think, came to play. End-to-end task management, integrations, AI, RPA, document management, the ability to integrate electronic signatures, manage rules and changes to rules in configurations of the process, and do all of that with the ability to aggregate information, not just internally to the bank, to understand patterns around fairness and distribution and ensure consistency around how and to whom the loans are dispersed, but also being able to then defend the program when the auditors, when the Fed come calling, and being able to do all of that in an environment where you can much more effectively manage the elements that are important, such as customer service, but also fraud prevention. So very impressive. I really do appreciate that. You know, the way we think about the PPP program as a whole, it's if you want to visualize an iceberg, you know, so far much of the attention of the iceberg has been on the top, what's above the waterline, the intake. We think the complexities of the program are all below the waterline, and then being able to manage holistically front to back. That's really the space where we're engaging. We'd love to keep the conversation going. There's a URL listed here on the page. It's appian.com/PPP. We look forward to hearing from you and wish you all the best. Thank you.